By the 1988-89 season, fans and players of the Calgary Flames were looking for a lot of things: redemption, respect, revenge, and a rebirth. They got all four of them in that campaign when they went from one of their greatest records ever all the way to the Stanley Cup final and finally winning the crown, avenging a defeat to the Montreal Canadiens 3 years before in '86, where the Cinderella Habs defeated everyone, including Calgary, en route to the crown. But this was Calgary's year. Now, this was the 9th season for the Flames and the 17th for the Flames franchise, as he started off in Atlanta before moving to Central Canada. Now, they won their second consecutive President's Trophy as the NHL's top regular season club, and again went on to their first Stanley Cup title, defeating the Habs in 6 games. Now, the great Al McGinnis won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the most valuable player of the playoffs. Now, this was like a banner year: first in the Smythe Division, first in the Campbell Conference, 54-17-9, 32-4-4 at home, 22-13-5 in a road. Goals for 354, goals against 226. Now, the troops of Cliff Fletcher and Terry Crisp, led by captains Lanny McDonald and Jim Poplinski, also welcomed the great Theo Fleury to the lineup, who went on to become the Flames' all-time leading scorer, and Sergei Pryakin, who became the first Soviet player allowed to play in the NHL. Now, 4 players represented the Flames at the All-Star game, including Gary Suter, Joe Newendike, Joey Mullen, and Mike Vernon. Now, Mullen also received several awards following the season, including the Lady Byng Memorial Trophy, plus the Emery Edge Award for having the top plus-minus the league, and he was named a first-team All-Star. But the mantra that year was to win it for Lanny. Now, co-captain Lanny McDonald scored his 1,000-point and 500-goal late in the season. He ended his Hockey Hall of Fame career by scoring the goal in a game that clinched the Stanley Cup before announcing retirement in the summer, the famous counter at the Montreal Forum. Now, the Flame season began with the major trade. Now, the very reliable Mike Bullard, not the talk show host, of course, finished the 88 season second in team scoring at 103 points, but his disappointing performance during the playoffs left GM Cliff Fletcher desiring a trade. Now, late in the summer, he dealt Bullard and 2 players to the Blues for a package of 4 players that was led by Doug Gilmour, who had scored 105 points 2 years previous. Now, head coach Terry Crisp favored an offensively responsible system, and as a result, the Flames had given up the fewest goals in the league after 2 months, while goalies Mike Vernon and former Hab Rick Wansley were first and third in the NHL in goals against average. The team maintained its defensive focus throughout the season, allowing 79 fewer goals than in 88, surrounding a franchise record low of 226. Now, Fletcher proclaimed in December that his Flames team was the best he ever built. Now, he just lost 4 of his first 28 games, and on December 8th, it set a franchise record with its 13th consecutive game without a loss in a 5-3 victory over the Oilers. The team also went unbeaten in its first 17 home games, with a 14-0-3 record in that time that featured victories over 11-1 over the Kings, 6-1 over the Blues, and 9-0 over the Whalers. Now, though the Flames were established as Smythe Division leaders, the team struggled around the Christmas break. After winning only 1 of 5 games towards the end of December, the team recalled 2 players from the minor league affiliate. Paul Ranheim was brought up on December 27 from Salt Lake, but played only 5 games in Calgary. Fleury was brought up on New Year's Day. He was leading the IHL in scoring with 74 points in 40 games at the time of his recall, and immediately became a fan favorite in Calgary for his aggressive style despite his small 5'6" stature. Fleury had 3 assists in his second career game, and his first 2 goals in his third, a 7-2 victory over the Oilers. Now, again, 4 players made the All-Star team: Mike Vernon, the winning goalie, Joey Mullen, Joe Newendike, and Gary Suter in a 9-5 victory for the Campbell Conference. Now, again, McDonald got his 500 got his pre-500 goal, was his 1,000 point against Bob Essenza, then scored the 500 against Bart Fitzpatrick in a win over the Oilers in Calgary. Now, The same night that McDonald scored, Nieuwendyk scored his 50th of the season, becoming the third player in NHL history after Bossy and Gretzky to reach the 50-goal mark in his first 2 seasons. He scored his 100th career point in just his 144th game. He also reached a milestone, the third fewest games in league history, behind Mike Bossy and Mus Richard. Now, Joey Mullen also scored 50 that year for the Flames, finishing 7th in league scoring with 110 points, and broke Jimmy Carson's NHL record for most points in a season by an American-born player. Now, the Flames also made NHL history when they successfully completed a deal with the Soviet Ice Hockey Federation that allowed 24-year-old forward Sergei Priakin to become the first Soviet player permitted by his native federation to play in the NHL. He made his debut on March 31st in a game against the Jets. Now again, winning 50 for 4 games, he became the 5th squad in NHL history after the Habs, Bruins, Flyers, and Oilers to win so many games. Now, the home ice record again, 4 losses and only 40 games at home. Now, President's Trophy, and their tops in penalty killing percentage with 83%. Now, the playoffs showed Calgary's medal. Now, the 7-game series opener against Vancouver, they were, after a tough series, Game 7 went overtime, they were tied 3-3, and the extra period was dominated by fast and adventurous rushes as both teams sought to end the series. Now, both goalies made great saves, and including a save was a defining moment of Vernon's career, and has since been called the save that won the cup, a glove save against Stan Schmiel on a breakaway. Now, with less than a minute remaining in the first overtime, Jim Plubinski fired a wide-angle shot towards the Vancouver goal that deflected off Joel Otto, skated into the net, winning the game in the series for the Flames. Now, Calgary took on their old nemesis Wayne Gretzky in the second round, but this time for the Kings, the Flames won the series in 4 straight, holding the highest scoring team in the league to 11 goals for the series. Now, the big controversy of the series had nothing to do with the outcome. It was most remembered for a controversial goal the Flames scored in the second game at Calgary. Now, Vernon was knocked down in his crease by the Kings' Bernie Nichols, and believing the goalie was injured, Flames trailer Bearcat Berry jumped onto the ice to tend to the fallen player as the Flames rushed the puck in the LA zone. McGinnis scored the play as the Kings vehemently protested the goal should have been disallowed because Berry was on the ice. The goal stood and ended up being the winning goal in an 8-3 victory. Now, in the league semifinals, they took on the Chicago Blackhawks, and there was no contest here as they won in 5 games, only dropping a 4-2 decision. Now, went on to face the Montreal. The Flames won the opener 3-2, but Montreal evened the game 4-2 in Game 2. Now, the third game went to overtime, with score tied 3-3. Late in the second period, Calgary's Mark Hunter was penalized for boarding, allowing Montreal to win on a counter by Ryan Walter at 18:08 of the second overtime. The penalty call was controversial, and members of the press spent the following days arguing the legitimacy of the call. Now, Game 4 was a do-or-die contest in Montreal, and Calgary emerged with a 4-2 victory to even the series at 2-2 apiece. Now, Game 5 back in Calgary was tough from the start. The Flames rushed out to 3-1 first period lead, and Montreal made it 3-2 in the second, but Vernon stopped Montreal the rest of the way. Game 6, Chris added Lanny McDonald to the lineup, and that was a deciding factor. A sentimental favorite by the fans of all ages, the move paid dividends, and after serving a penalty in the second period, McDonald stepped out of the penalty box and joined the rush where he took a pass from Nieuwendyk and shot it over Montreal goalie Patrick Waugh to give the Flames a 2-1 lead. Now, Doug Gilmour added 2 third-period goals, including the eventual winner, as the Flames won the Stanley Cup by a 4-2 score and 4-2 in games. In doing so, they became the only team to ever defeat the Montreal Canadiens on foreign ice to win the championship. You might see that with Tampa Bay this week, we're not sure. Now, McGinnis again named the Connie Smythe Trophy winner, 31 points to become the first defenseman to lead the league in postseason scoring. He finished the playoffs with a 17-game scoring streak, the longest by a defenseman in NHL history. Now, when McDonald announced his retirement, he became the Flames vice president in charge of corporate and community affairs. Now, 3 years later, McDonald was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame, where he still works today as an advisor and a promoter. Now, Håkan Loob also ended his career as a champion. He had announced during the season he intended to return to his home in Sweden at the end of the year. So, the biggest season, of course, Mullen, 110 points, Loob, 85, Gilmore, 85, Newendek, 82, 51 goals. Herdina had 22 goals, Joel Otto, 23, Gary Roberts, 22, and Mark Hunter had 22. In the playoffs, again, McGinnis, 31 points, Mullen, 24, Gilmore, 22, 11 big goals. Newendek had 10 goals, while Theo Fleury had 11 points, including 5 counters. Now, Vernon played 52 games in the regular season, 37, 6 and 5, 2.65 average, and in the playoffs, 16 and 5. Walmsley only played 1 game, with Vernon had a 2.26 average. Now, league awards that year: Joey Mullen, Molson Cup, Lanny McDonald, Ralph T. Scorfield Humanitarian Award. McGinnis won the Connie Smythe Second Team All-Star. Mullen was the Lady Byng Memorial Trophy winner. Emily Edge Award, First Team All-Star. And Mike Vernon and goalie, Second Team All-Star. But I said, the big trade, of course, was the Gilmore, Hunter, Bozek, and Dark to Calgary for Bullard, Greg Cox, and Tim Corcoran. And also as well, Barry Burzan and Shane Churla were traded for Brian McClellan, who and he also picked up a Robert Reichel in a draft because of it. And of course, the subtractions were unfortunately John Tillelly and Bob Bodak that left the team for free agency. So quite a transition season. But beating Gretzky and the Kings kind of served to be, not say the death knell of the Gretzky era, but Calgary was due. It was just the loss in '86 because of bad luck. Patrick was hot, but Calgary well deserving of the title. So if you like what we're doing here, ladies and gentlemen, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're a Calgary fan, tell me your favorite moment about that year. My favorite moment was Terry Chris Spellabed celebrating at the end with Lanny McDonald. Stands out. And there's no disgrace if the best team beats you. That's what Calgary was that year. Thanks for listening. Bye.